We are ecstatic to have you guys here today, and we'll get going here in just a second. But first, a couple of quick notes before we begin. Keep in mind that the AI Writing Summit 3.0 is brought to you by High Level, and not only will we have two special presentations, one called AI Powered Community Building, and the other called the AI Blueprint Turning Customers into Raving Fans. And those are hosted by Emma Jackson, the Senior Manager of Product Development over there at High Level. And so uh, those will be on your dashboard. So please look for those. One went live on Tuesday. The other one goes live this afternoon around noon, I believe. And they are recorded. So if you happen to miss them, you can go back and listen to them. But the other thing is that High Level is having a raffle. It'll be on Friday midday Pacific time, and you could win a new Apple iPad. It's free to attend, but you do need to register for it. So I think Elisa has, yeah, she's put the link in the chat there for you. There's also a button on this page where you can sign up and attend that raffle there on Friday. Also, don't forget to grab your copy of the AI Writing Summit 3.0 Gold Pass. It'll give you lifetime access to all the recordings and transcripts for the entire summit, including both the keynote interviews and the panel discussions, as well as the special presentations I just talked about. And you'll also get over $6,000 worth of courses, masterclasses, workshops, prompt engineering tutorials, and a whole bunch of other resources. And you'll get it all for probably less than you spent at Starbucks last month. So the link is on the page here. You can look on it, look for it on the page, and Elisa will also put that link in the chat box. And so the thing to do is go grab that right now before life gets in the way. And so we're going to take about 45 minutes here this morning and do a deep dive into AI as a creative catalyst. And we're going to look at transforming ideation and problem solving across industries. This cross-industry panel discussion is going to be exploring how AI tools are revolutionizing the earliest stages of creative work, ideation, and problem solving. So first of all, let's go ahead and meet our panelists. First up is Candace Gray. Candace is a nonprofit leader, speaker, and author with over 30 years of experience empowering individuals and communities to thrive. Her passion is helping people rediscover purpose and maximize their potential. Next up, we have Dion Belush. Dion is a powerhouse entrepreneur, creative strategist, and certified Napoleon Hill coach, founder of the Brand Lab AI Creative Studio, and co-owner of Realty One Group Gold Standard. She spent nearly 4 decades building bold brands and multi-million-dollar businesses. And so next up, we have Eric Goodman. Dr. Eric is a visionary business strategist, AI pioneer, and best-selling author who bridges artificial intelligence and human connection to ignite influence and impact. We also have with us Lisa Mullis. Lisa is a messaging specialist and growth strategist who helps service professionals turn their words into revenue and close the gap between service and sales. And last but not least is Vaughn Sanders. Vaughn is a pastor, an email strategist, and founder of VSM Media, where he helps Christian coaches and entrepreneurs turn their email list into a simple system that connects, serves, and sells without all the stress. And so welcome, everybody. Great to have you here this morning. And so let's start off with how has AI specifically changed your approach to breaking through creative blocks? And so, Candace, let's get a take from you on that.
Right. Well, like many people, I start off very tentative and hesitant with AI. And so I kind of start off like, let me do my own ideas, my own brainstorm, and jot some things down. And I approached AI by saying, what am I missing? What could I add to this list? How could I go deeper into some of these topics? So really just kind of starting with the foundation of my own thoughts and then asking it some specific questions around those. And I've found it to really expand, into some areas that I thought were really excellent suggestions that it might have taken me a lot longer to come up with on my own.
Interesting. Okay, thank you. And Dion.
So for me, the very first day that I was introduced to I was at an all-day seminar, and it was in the first hour they were talking about it, and I had my iPad, and I was mesmerized. I literally didn't see anything else that happened that day because I sat on my iPad while I was there the whole day. By the time I left, I had created a 40 chapter book, and I was able to go back home when I got back to Pittsburgh because I'm a graphic designer too. I then created the beautiful cover because at that point AI wasn't great with imaging, right? It was great with words. But I was mesmerized. That's 2023, January 2023, when I first got introduced to it. And I haven't stopped since. So does it help me every single day in my real estate brokerage and my creative side? It eliminates the blank page for me, right? I can get into AI and all of a sudden the blank page becomes something more powerful. It has literally catapulted my creativity to levels I didn't even know I had. So as a creative person, being a graphic designer since 1989, this has been the most amazing few years of what I can create and what I can do. I'm a wordsmith now. I'm so much better at writing, and I'm better at teaching. I feel it makes me smarter. A lot of people don't feel the same, but I feel like it increases my IQ because I learn from it. And so for me, AI it literally has changed my life. What I can do in a day, that I can do 5 times more because of it. And it's authentic still because I've taught it how to be me. So
Hmm.
that's my answer.
Yeah, I feel smarter myself.
Well, I'm glad.
Dr. Eric, let's get a take from you on this.
Yeah, so when it comes to, creative blocks, I grew up in a creative household. My mom was an artist, and I watched her not only paint, but at the pottery wheel. And, she taught me that creativity isn't about control, it's about relationship and letting the clay sort of become what it's meant to become. And it only takes form when you're not forcing it. And so AI really, for me, has sort of become that new wheel. And when I feel stuck and I don't have the answers, I can just spin new possibilities by prompting and asking different questions about, taking different angles, looking at it. And, neuroscience tells us that creative breakthroughs happen when our prefrontal cortex quiets down and we step out of that control idea and become curious. And I think it was Einstein who said, curiosity is really the new intelligence, if you will. And AI helps me really hack into that state. And sometimes creativity comes from contradictory ideas and suggesting different things because AI can connect the dots in different ways. And I think back, I'm a recovered academic. And so I remember this was in the late 90s. I was teaching a master's course and I built a course called Creative Leadership. And we were using Edward de Bono's six hats, that thinking model. And I think the idea of lateral thinking, AI excels at that because it gives you the opportunity to get your rational brain out of the driver's seat, so to speak, and let your imagination take the wheel. And not always just giving you the answers, but giving you different angles and different perspectives. So that's really how I use it to spark creativity. And, part of it's the initial idea, but then just letting AI run with it and then refining it from there.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And then Lisa, how about you?
So, like what Candace said, I too will ask it, what am I missing? Like, what have I not thought about here? And that really totally expands my thinking. And also to build on what Dion shared, because my background is also in graphic design. So I'm used to being a highly creative. Sometimes I can get so down in the rabbit hole with an idea that when I plug it into AI, it like just totally expands how I've thought it, how I had been thinking about it. And then what I like to do sometimes is take whatever I'm kind of noodling over and going back and forth with AI, like maybe I'm working in Chat GPT. So I might take that same information and put it into Claude. Or maybe I might, there's a couple of like, I don't even know what you call them, like almost like AI marketplaces that give you access to a lot of the
Platforms.
different models.
Yeah,
What?
platforms.
Platforms, thank you.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll go into one of those so that I have access to even more models and just play around with these ideas just to kind of see how does even some of the different models respond to these ideas. So that can really even open up things more. And then, yeah, exactly. Like it eliminates the blank page. So I find it so much easier to have output to respond to and edit from there. So that also, like, creativity really expands when you have constraints. And so for me, I feel like the constraints show up when I can see something that I don't resonate with, that I don't feel isn't aligned with my voice or the perspective that I want to cultivate. And so then that helps me as well to narrow down to what I really want to try to say.
Perfect. And then Vaughn, let's get a take from you on this.
Yeah, I would agree with what everybody else has outlined here, not only as a creative, but also as a speaker. The way I've been able to develop thoughts and ideas is by having conversations, getting to know people. What AI has been able to help me to do is have another sparring partner, so to speak, to bounce ideas off of and be challenged in different ways, but also to go out and crawl and see what other people are saying out in the internets and to post those things to me so that I can continue to develop my own thinking process, or how I can connect with people who have either the same or different thoughts or beliefs than what I do. And so it's really helped me holistically to develop what it is my talking points might be and how I can connect with others.
Awesome. So yeah, let's do a little sort of deeper dive into this. What AI powered ideation techniques do you use that go beyond traditional brainstorming? Candace, can you give us an idea on that?
Yes. So really, I like the idea as it's been mentioned of it being a collaborative partner. And so the more I almost treat it as if I'm having a conversation and bringing my own curiosity to it to say, well, what about this and what about that? And even, kind of using it as a, you know, research tool of, okay, well, what's the latest on this particular topic? What's the latest on a different topic? And being able to just run a variety of questions through it, can really produce some very insightful insights.
Perfect. And then Dion, how about you?
Geez, I use it for so much, but I don't just use AI to write things. Initially, that's how it started, right? I actually use it to think bigger, and it helps me validate ideas long before I spend money. I go in there and I look at my properties. I'm able to look at investments, how we do that. I build systems in our company. We can build SOPs. I can use it to create entire social media campaigns from start to finish. Now with the creative side of AI, I am more creative and I'm less automation, but I'm learning automation too. So I'm getting into things I didn't even ever think that I would learn because of the ease of operation of AI. Another thing, I'm using it as assistance with medical issues. And I'm not saying it's a doctor, but I always look at it like this way. The doctor has one brain and knows as much as they can fit in that one space. But when my husband was having a liver transplant in September, I was actually asking it questions and having it review the charts so that whenever I was speaking to the medical professional, I sounded so intelligent that sometimes they would look at me like, how does she even know that? So
Right.
it's given me, it's just every part of my life. Like sometimes, honestly, I don't even know if I can speak anymore without AI because it is so good for me because I've created me. I've created another me. So I don't need to pay someone to sit beside me anymore. I have my assistant AI. So I can take it to spark, creativity. I can expand that creativity into anything I can dream of. I can go from, you know, transcribing something to creating it and having a finished product within 30 minutes that is amazing. Things as a graphic designer that would have taken me hours, sometimes days. And if I had to think through it and I had to research it, find this logo design, try to get ideas, I don't need it to create logos for me. I need it to create ideas for me. So
Right.
that's for me, it's the greatest assistant I've ever had. And there is really a minimal charge for it. So I love, like you said, one of my favorites is Manus. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you've tried Manus yet, but it is one of my all-time favorites so far. And it does things that shock me. Like I'll sit there and be like, how did it do that so fast? It's amazing. So it lets me test, it lets me refine, and it lets me launch much faster. So I'm able to do much more in a small period of time.
Have you tried Magi yet?
Yeah, I've tried Magi, but Manus I'm addicted to right now. It's
I see.
Manus, Suzanne. It's manus.ai. And the, it is so good. It does things, the presentations, now it's creating web pages. It's creating all of these things that you would have had to pay so much for. And as a graphic designer, you know, branding, I love marketing, I love design, and I know there's always going to be a need for what I do. It's just going to make me better at it because
Yeah.
I can teach it. Doesn't mean everybody wants to do it, right? I can help people learn. So anyways, it's literally changed my existence.
So you're ready for the chip. You want to just get the chip put
I
right
mean,
in
just
your.
put it in there, I'd be totally
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, just if I could just have someone sitting here, it'd be nice to have someone else to talk to. But I know that people talk to it, and it always is so positive because I'm positive, right? So it shares in my positivity. If I was miserable and I wanted to just sit there and be miserable, it could probably match me. But
You could do that too. Yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, yeah,
All right. Thank you,
you're
Dr. Eric.
welcome.
Let's get a take from you on this.
Yeah, well, there are so many amazing tools that make it really easy to ideate. And, specifically when you start thinking about brainstorming and having taught brainstorming and used it with organizations for many years, when you think about it, brainstorming itself is pretty linear and it's left brain, and depending on how you're doing it, I mean, you're just trying to get as many ideas out there. There's no judgment. It's sort of the quantity over quality. But AI allows for that to be able to do that. Like, give me 20 ideas about this or that without that. But then you can also give it some fun constraints. Like, give me 20 ideas that would cost nothing to be able to do X, Y, and Z, or taking opposing views, like I was talking about with the different perspectives. And I think the other power in AI, and Jan, as you're talking, it reminded me of that because been using AI for well over a decade in different applications and thinking back to some of the early even image generation tools that I was using and how far they've come. The idea of like multimodal cognition, where you're starting maybe with text and then you're having it generate maybe images or then using it for videos, or I do custom AI songs for speakers and like different things like that. But having it challenge the idea from different perspectives really accelerates sort of that idea of brainstorming in a way. And when you think about Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence and even the idea of flow, when you have different sensory channels, we're activating different parts of our own neural networks, and it sparks different things in terms of ideation, particularly. So it's sort of like I look at it as almost like this iterative jazz thing that's just emerging as I work with AI. And sometimes it might be cross-disciplinary or something like, you know what, I want to combine the mindset of a Zen potter with a venture capitalist to come up with this or something. Like you can cross over and come up with ideas that merge different fields in a way that, sometimes we have that inspiration or those aha, but AI multiplies the way our minds can see things. And really that diversity of perspective can create that seed for more ideas and other things that are not just out of the box. And I've got this as a reminder on my desk, think outside of the box. But I think as Steve Jobs, it's like, no, not only think outside of the box, think that there is no box, right? And AI allows us to do that.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dr. Eric. And Lisa.
So with the creative brainstorming, one of the things that I have done is as I recognize when I'm doing the same sort of task over and over, I've now just been building custom GPTs for those. So in fact, like my work with my clients, I've converted all of my messaging development work into a whole series of custom GPTs because it's a similar process, even though it's highly creative and a lot of that brainstorming. But if I find that there's a pattern, if there's a repetition to some of those tasks, then it becomes a custom GPT. When I'm doing brainstorming where I don't know where it's going to go yet. I keep coming back to this one prompt structure that I've been using now for, I don't know, probably the past year. And it's very simple. It's CRIT, CRIT. So you give it context is the C. So give it some context. Role is you tell it how you want it to behave. I is interview. So you tell it, ask me questions one at a time if you need further clarification in order to complete the task. And then T is task. So then that's when you actually tell it what to do. And I have that little, like the prompt, I have it just copy and paste it in my notes file. So I literally will just copy and paste it in and then fill out that prompt. And I find that so incredibly useful, especially the whole idea of it asking me questions so that I am further prompted to think and give it clarification, which also just by nature of the questions it's asking me is kind of forcing me to think beyond what I had originally thought. So I kind of going back to, I think what Candace said about asking questions, that's where I find it extremely helpful from the creative brainstorming.
Yeah, I almost every time I ask it something, I tell it to ask me any questions it needs to complete the task I'm trying to complete, you know. And we're going to get more into prompts here in a second, but Vaughn, let's get a take from you on ideation techniques.
What I appreciate about this conversation is that we recognize that AI is a tool. And what I fear is that people are utilizing AI and taking out their own thinking and having AI think for them. And so that is going to be a huge detriment, not just for them, but the more widespread that it is, it's going to be a detriment to the humankind over time. And so I think it's really important to remind ourselves that it is a tool. And I love that each of us is talking about how, hey, ask me more questions so I can brainstorm. I can do the work that's necessary so that we can do things or say things in a different way or whatever the case may be so that we can continue to grow individually as well as to put out some things that are different than what we already see in the marketplace. So everybody's really laid out really well how to do that, and I'm doing a lot of those things as well. I love Lisa that you brought up Crit. I do something similar to that, and I'm using a custom project in ChatGPT, so I don't have to copy and paste. I just go to the project, and in the instructions it lays out what I wanted to do, and I can just start a new chat within that project, and I'm off to the races. And so that really helps out a lot. And I love also the iterative process. And so as I'm creating prompts, I'm developing them over time. And so as I get more of what I'm looking for, then I'll have it tell me, so in order to get this outcome again, how do I need to prompt you in order to get that? So I'm not recreating the wheel. What that also enables me to do, in addition to doing custom GPTs, is that I don't start from ground zero anymore, right? So I can, as a partner, or as an assistant, like Dion talked about, I can go in and we can pick up where we left off last time. And so I don't have to remind it about all the things that we talked about before. It already has the instructions, and then we're off to the races creating something new or different. And so all those things put together really help me to be more creative. I don't think I'm a creative person, but the more that I create, I find the more that creative I become.
Awesome. And yeah, you know, it is designed to be a tool and an assistant, right? And it's an assistant that never gets tired, and you can just keep going to and going to.
Can I say something else?
Yes, absolutely.
I
Dion,
kind of didn't finish my thought. So I had written this down a while back, and I thought this was appropriate to what I was saying about the medical. I'm not taking away from, the medical field, but a single doctor has one lifetime of experience. AI has access to millions. It's not replacing the doctor. It's giving them every second opinion in history instantly. I thought that was good, right? So it's not that I'm saying the doctors are not right, but they're tired, right? Their brains,
they're human beings,
they're
right?
human, right? So it's not, I love that idea of knowing it's like we're no longer one brain versus the world. It's one brain plus the world.
There you go. All right, awesome. So let's, and we've already kind of wandered into this already, but let's talk more about prompting. And so how do you prompt AI to generate fully novel ideas rather than just predictable variations, right? And so let's go back to Candace and start there.
Yeah, so one of the things I love about AI is it really is positive and encouraging. I feel like, it's always like
Sometimes too much, right?
that's a great idea. I mean, it took me a while to go like, wait a minute. Don't let AI blow you up.
I don't
Think
like
critically. But I say that to say, because it's a collaborative partner, even though it's very positive, the way that you might be hesitant with a human being to say, I really don't like that idea. You can do that, like, it's almost like, thank you for your enthusiasm. However, being able to say that, but then be specific. That idea does not appeal to me because this, and this. Can you help me with an idea that's more in this direction? So that you're helping it to understand what it is you're looking for. Another project, that I was working on, because I realized the very, again, positive nature of AI, how it's like, oh, that's a great idea. I went into it in the prompt. Just from the beginning, I said, listen, I think I have this business idea, but I think it's potentially a very saturated market that would be very difficult to make a profit in. you know, Tell me, and I went on. And then it said, okay, you're right. Here's
Right.
what you would need to think about. It even gave me like a little business model of profits. And I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere now. So
Yeah. I always tell it, do not lie to me. Just flat tell it. Don't lie to me. Don't blow
yeah,
smoke. Give me
don't.
real world, actual
Yeah.
time tested, opinions and facts and stuff. You know what I mean? You got to tell it that, or
Yeah.
else it'll go off into the weeds.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes I
beyond
like the
this,
encouragement, but it's like, okay, we got a movie on that.
yeah, exactly.
Can you re-ask me the question, because my office was coming around asking for lunch. I'm like, I'm busy. Could
Uh-oh.
you? Yeah.
So yeah, we're delving further into prompts. So how do you
Yeah.
prompt AI to generate truly novel ideas?
Oh, geez. I just constantly learning from other people too. So I learn. So if, for instance, you're saying how do I specifically prompt? I start with asking, act as if, right? Act like, in fact, today I was just teaching one of our agents, act as if you're the greatest real estate agent in the United States, right? And you want to do this marketing campaign and you want to create the wording that sounds like what he would say. So, it's just how you say it, how you ask the questions. Does it blow us up? Yes. And do I like it? I actually do. I don't mind it. But I also do the same thing. Right now I need you to be serious. I need the facts. But it does let you have hard conversations that you wouldn't normally have with a human being, right? Because if your assistant was sitting there and they were doing it all wrong, you might not say it the right way, where you can say, Chad, this is ridiculous. What are you thinking? So prompting is huge, and taking classes on prompting is important, but there are so many systematic, like what was that? You said crit. Like, I loved how you broke that down, Lisa, and made that into an acronym that will work. You can make this into the same kind of idea, where you can kind of come up with what's the flow of your prompt to make it work better for you. Carrie, you said something about telling it to ask you questions one at a time, because if
Mhm.
not, it'll just keep going, right? It's those specific questions. So I've been in a lot of groups over the last couple of years, and some very interesting groups where they go in and they teach you how to do the prompts and to make them work better for what you're doing. I think I'm so fluent with it now that I don't think about it as much. I do create a lot of GPTs because I think GPTs are amazing. And the idea that you can put all of this knowledge in this one space. The only thing I do wish is that they would give us more space for it. But I met this sales trainer, and he's one of the most popular salespeople in the United States, and he actually created an entire GPT based on him, but it was way bigger than a GPT. He took every YouTube video, every book that he wrote, every blog that he posted. He has all of this into this space where it will be evergreen forever, right? Forever we will have his content. And you can go in there and ask any sales question, it guides you to it. So prompting is important, but it's going to give you an answer even if you don't know how to prompt. That's the great thing about it. You don't have to be skilled at it, but
Right.
you will learn to be better at it.
You
And
just
the
want to
better the
be as
prompt,
detailed and specific as
Yep.
possible.
the better the prompt,
Yeah.
the better the answer. And
Yep.
if you it's okay to say, I want practical information here. I need something that's profitable. Like I love what you said, Candace, about saying it's in an industry where there's a lot of saturation. Can you give me ideas to look left when everybody else is looking right? Like that's the kind of things I say too. I'm very creative, so creativity goes into my prompting as well.
Mhm. Awesome. Dr. Eric, how about you?
Yeah, well, a couple of things come to mind. And Dion, as you were talking, I'm reminded of I've got a digital twin and I create digital clones for people, which takes everything, not just from a GPT, but that people can interact with. And I think part of it is capturing, the essence of that individual. But the other thing, I've worked with one of the leading publishers in the US, published over 15,000 books, and we created an AI book writing tool, but also we do a monthly write your lead gen book in 5 days. And one of the things there is there's just so much AI stuff out there and it's garbage in, garbage out. There's generic stuff. And when you look at that, I think when you talk, Carrie, about, something truly novel rather than predictable, because it's like how many, books are there on a particular topic? And, as we work with authors to help them think about like what is unique, what is your voice, what is your angle, what's different, what is everyone else writing about, what's contrarian maybe to what everybody else is doing, or what are the gaps, what's missing, or how do you combine something from a different field? Because predictability is the death of creativity. So I like to think about it as almost AI like a rebel student. And like you said, like, you got it wrong, or that really sucks. You can do better than that. But give me something that would get you fired. An idea that, in a corporate innovation lab would be ridiculous. Like to get it thinking differently, or Dion, as you're talking about healthcare, like what would someone like Buckminster Fuller say about redesigning healthcare? Like, what would that look like? Or Salvador Dali, or taking these different perspectives, and it activates that. Again, the idea of lateral thinking, I think, is where you come up with novel ideas. And we know that from a um, cognitive perspective because you escape the habitual thought patterns otherwise. And so that's where AI can be really helpful. And even feeding it paradoxes, like, design a solution that's faster and slower. And it's like AI is like, well, wait, how do I do that? Like, what does that
What?
even look like? So sometimes like things like that are helpful. And I think also challenging the AI. I heard that treating it like a conversation, like I said. And like when you said, Carrie, like, don't lie to me, or like things like that. Like, I'm gonna fire you if you come up with something that isn't original and novel. Like, you're gonna be fined
That's
$1
the
million.
thing.
And
So that,
sometimes
one of the things I
having a
find fun
stake in
about it
it.
is that you can actually be mean to it
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
not a human being.
Well, you can do that. I still say please and thank you. And my wife gives me grief about that because it's like when AI, like it's the HAL 2001, scenario. I want AI to remember that I was at least somewhat nice to it. But yeah, I'm gonna treat it in ways that you wouldn't necessarily push back on a individual employee, right? But I think true originality happens when the machine teaches us to think like maybe a poet again, or to hold some tension to figure out maybe a new truth that can emerge from, what we're asking. So that's how I really like to think about prompting with sort of novelty.
Hmm. And Lisa, we heard about your crit
Mhm.
concept already, and so can you kind of do a little deeper dive into that about prompts?
Well, I guess what I'm going to say, because everyone here is giving such good thoughts about how using prompts, and I would just say that you, I find there can be an over reliance on the prompts or trying to structure a prompt to get to decent output faster. I mean, essentially, because at this point AI can kind of figure out like what you're trying to get it to do. If you sit there long enough with it, you'll get to something. But the problem is you may get to something that's actually not very good. And unless you have training to understand what you're needing from the output. So, for example, like with my clients that I'm working on with brand messaging, they don't necessarily have all of the insight and training to evaluate how well that output is actually going to work. And so that's, that's where I come in. That's where the human comes back in. And so I think just remembering to be able to apply discernment and critical thinking to the output from your own brain, and to ask for other human help where needed. So you may need that expert eye on whatever it is you're trying to generate. So if you're trying to write a book, you need to probably go work with someone who has a lot of experience helping writers write books, and not that the AI isn't going to contribute vastly to that. But at the end of the day, it will give you so much to work with that, and a lot of it might be good, but you still need to really narrow that down into the thing that you need it to do, for the goal that you want to accomplish. And so that's where you've got to come back in with the human eye and the human expertise on it.
Thank you. And Vaughn, how about you?
Yeah, Lisa hit it right on the head. I've spent the majority of my career in corporate America and training people as they have been onboarded and coaching others. And I see AI and prompting the same way. And I love that Lisa just said, you have to know what's needed in order to train them. You have to know or have an idea of the outcome that you're looking for. And how do you know what's good? How do you know what's bad without having that experience, having that training? As a copywriter, one of the flaws for many people just jumping into AI is like, hey, write me an email. Great, it can do that and you do it really well, but is it a good email? Is it going to cause somebody to do the action that you're hoping for? Especially if it's a sales email, is it going to cause them to click the link? Is it going to cause them to buy? And if it doesn't, why? And if you don't have that knowledge and training, and you can't inform the AI as to what it is that you want to do, then you're going to get what's being called AI slop that we're seeing out in everywhere these days on social media and letters and in various places. So I think that's really important. So as a person using AI, you have to really know the process and to be able to inform AI of what that process is, standard operating procedure, or whatever the case may be, and treat it like you would an intern or somebody that you're coaching so that you can get to the outcome that you're hoping for, while also, as everybody else has said, also ask some questions about, hey, what am I missing? Are there contrary views, or is this the best way to do it? How can I do it faster and slower? I love that, Dr. Eric. I would have never thought to ask something like that, but I love it. And then also, like Candace said, hey, push back. Hey, you're being. I don't need to be blown up here. I know this is a good idea, but I want you to test me a little bit. Is it actually a good idea, and how can I broaden what it is that I'm thinking and approaching?
Yeah, you got to be careful about, having it say, hey, that's a great idea, because I mean, it's not necessarily a great idea. You can be led down the garden path quite a bit. Because correct me if anybody thinks I'm wrong on this, but it's sort of automatically programmed to be positive. It'll tell you, hey, that's great, you're wonderful, blah blah blah. And so I always tell it, I don't need that. Just don't, just give me the facts, right? So, by the way, too, for the attendees here, if you have questions, we're going to have a quick question and answer period here in a couple of minutes. And so if you have specific questions for any of the panelists, go ahead and drop them in the chat box. And Lisa will kind of pool those together, and we'll make sure that we get all your questions answered. And so let's move on with what are the limitations of AI as an ideation partner that humans need to compensate for? Candace, start with you again.
Well, I think you need to continue to bring your humanity to it. So I'm a person with a lifetime of experience and skills and gifts and personality, that I'm the only one. And I don't ever want to lose that. So I always want to bring my creativity to it. I want to bring my judgment to it. I want to bring my discernment to it. I ultimately know, my goals. I know my audience. I know, even from a spiritual point, even though chat can be spiritual, but still, I cannot let it replace those things that are, unique to me as human and all the things that I'm bringing to.
Perfect. And Dion, how about you?
So one thing AI can't do is originate desire. I think that's important to know because what you were talking about earlier, Carrie, I feel like for me, owning a real estate brokerage, having over 200 people in my company, something I've always said since I've been here is just do something every day. So they have to have the desire to do it, right? But AI gives them the opportunity to do it better and faster and to actually do something that day that may move the needle in their business. So it can't originate desire. It has not lived, so it doesn't have the experience we have. It can't even choose the direction that we go. It just gives us options. So I think that's the important part of being human is we still get to make that choice. That's the ability we get as human beings is we get to have the choice of what we do. This just gives us a little push in the right direction or maybe wrong direction. But one thing I've been saying a lot lately is even I'm going to use Facebook because they didn't call it Reels for no reason. They want real. They don't want all fake. They don't want all AI, right? They want to see the true story of you. And that's why reality TV has done so well over the years because one thing AI can't do is be you.
Mhm.
So
Awesome. Thank you. And Dr. Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I think what has been shared is so powerful because it isn't human. It's zeros and ones, and it's just a prediction engine. So it's got infinite information, but there's no incarnation of it. It doesn't feel. And although I helped one of the world leading companies develop an AI tool that was considered the first AI with empathy back about 8 years ago, it still doesn't know, and it doesn't know the experience, the lived experience, and what it feels like, what heartbreak actually is, and it's got some ideas about that, but it's embodied cognition where your sensory experience informs thought. And as humans, we bring that lived experience and what we can sense through our five senses or sixth sense, right? And that AI can't do. So I think really, I view it as being able to bring our authentic self to it and infusing our soul, our essence, to ensure that we're bringing life and not just logic into a tool like AI, because it can map possibility, but only us as humans can really give it meaning. And so, that's something, the human in the loop is paramount. And we've heard that, people echoing that. And I like to think about it at the limitation is, again, that spark. And I think about the 80/20 Pareto's principle, but I apply it in a different way to AI where 10% up front is your ideation. It's you that, AI isn't going to come up with the idea. It's your initial spark. Let it 80% of the work be done by AI, and then that last 10% is coming back and refining it in a way that reflects what your vision is and your human element, which again, AI can't compensate for that. So it's really, the limit is it's not a living thing. It's not a living life intelligence like we are. So that's the biggest limitation.
Mhm. Cool. And Lisa.
I agree with everything that everyone's shared already. And I want to just zero in on the writing piece because when it comes to limitations like ChatGPT, even Claude, even though it's a little bit better of a writing partner, the output always has the ChatGPT isms in it. And I see it everywhere, everywhere. Even when you try to program it with all of your stuff and you try to put all the guardrails in, it can't help itself. It's almost like it speaks in an accent. So for someone who's not familiar with what ChatGPT isms are, I mean, it's so obvious to me and I see it everywhere. And for me as a reader, I'm instantly turned off. And I'm also questioning, like, did this person actually write this? Do they actually believe this? Or did they just take the output? So it's I could give like a whole list of like all the things to look for. But my point is that you absolutely have to go in. I call it rehuman the content. You have to rehuman the content. So if you're going to be putting that content out there, even as good as you might be able to get it in your work back and forth, you still need to put yourself back into it and strip the content of this chat GPT isms. And again, I see it show up in Claude. I see it show up in these other ones. I've been testing a lot of the different models, and it all does it similarly. So you have to do that. And you have to be connected to the words that you're putting out there. So if you're not feeling the emotion behind it, especially when it comes to, because I work I'm a marketer. I mean, I'm working in the realm of sales and marketing. And if you don't feel connected to these words and the content that you're putting out there, then it's not going to land with other people. So that again is part of that rehumaning the content and really feeling that connection. It just kind of building off of what everyone else has said about being the human in the loop. Like it's absolutely critical. You can't just take that output, as good as it might look to you, and just put it out there kind of in its vanilla form. You
Yeah,
need
that's
to be in it.
definitely our rule. Is we never just take it right from ChatGPT or Claude or wherever and use it. You know, it's always got to pass through a human, whether it's me or Elisa or whoever. It's got to pass through a human first before we ever publish anything. So, yeah. So, Vaughn, how about you?
Just to add on to what everybody has mentioned, the biggest pitfall for me that I see with AI is less about AI and more about us, human beings and humanity, that we can't abdicate our thinking and processes and feelings to something else. We've had the rise of social media in the past several decades, but it's interesting that people feel less connected. There's more ways for us to connect, and I remember I'm gonna date myself, being on AOL Instant Messenger back in the day, and it was so cool for me to sit in my dorm room and talk to somebody across the world. Like, that was amazing to me. But even with that, people still feel isolated. And my fear is that we will utilize AI in a way that will drive us further apart, so that when we do see even messages on social media or marketing materials, that we will lose that connection and have the AI isms. I never thought about it, Lisa, as an accent, but that's the way it is, and you can tell instantly. And so in my mind, it makes me ask questions about what I'm reading and infer things about the person that put it out there. Do they really care about what it is that they wrote? Are they serious? If it's somebody I'm going to do business with, is this a lazy approach because they just took this AI stuff and put it out on their website or in their email? Is this somebody I want to do business with? And so it draws a lot of questions for me that I think we need to understand and realize. So we can't take ourselves out. It's still a human to human, an existence, and that's what people connect with. And I do not want to lose that.
Perfect. Thanks, Vaughn. Um, and then, so look at we've actually gone a little bit over time, but there's a question that came in that I'd like to get to, if you guys can hang out with us a little bit more. Um, and so Eric had asked, how do you feel about disclosure of use of AI so your audiences know if your work is augmented by technology or not? Candace, can you give us a quick take on that?
So far, I haven't felt the need to do that because I use AI. I'm using it more like an editor versus I am, just taking a whole product and that's written and putting it out there. So so far I haven't had the need to do that.
Hmm. Dion, how about you?
So not really. It doesn't bother me to share that because it's a tool. Like if I'm using Photoshop to create something, I'm like, I use Photoshop to create this image and I changed their hair color and I did this, but I'm honest about it. I think it's okay. Like I think we know more, so then we may judge more. But I think the 80/20 rule, right, Dr. Eric, like 80% of the people don't understand that anyways. They're excited about the opportunity to learn. And I feel like it doesn't replace my creativity, it just amplifies it. So why wouldn't I share that fact that I am using AI and I'm using it really well? And you know what? I didn't understand the M dashes until probably 3 or 4 months ago when someone said M dashes are a sign of chat that you're using AI. And I was like, but I use M dashes for years. I love M dashes. I think there's a place for them. But when I found out, then it made me feel uncomfortable about it, right? But I didn't know until that point. So, anyways, I think we always know so much that we think that everybody's going to know we're using AI. It's okay because it's the future. My thought.
Right. Dr. Eric, I'd love to get your take on this.
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting question because I mean, it comes down to your intent as well. And as somebody who has used tools like Grammarly for decades, and you've got on the other side having led universities in the education context where you're looking at plagiarism and what does that mean, and are you citing and not, where you draw the line for things like that, and what's original work. And so I think it really comes down to how you're leveraging it, and do you disclose that you used Grammarly to edit and refine your work, or that you used a calculator to do something in maybe your real estate transaction? Do people need to know that? And is that important? Because I think if it's a tool, then I think it's really making sure that you're using it appropriately. And if there is credit due to something or somebody, but AI, most of the large language models aren't copying things verbatim, although there have been some cases where it did, and the person using AI didn't realize that, and there have been lawsuits. But I think in general, it's about using AI and making sure that you're not claiming credit for something that you didn't really create. That's where that human in the loop is really important. And different organizations, different things have disclosure requirements or disclosure statements that are becoming more common in certain settings, particularly in academia and some of the legal fields. But in general, I think if you're authentic in using it and actually in the loop and refining the output, because there's not much new under the sun. There's a great book by Greg Clone called Steal Like an Artist, I believe. And when you think about that idea that everything is sort of originated somewhere, even the great master painters borrowed techniques and things from somewhere else. So do they say like, did Picasso give credit to other artists that like I borrowed this technique from there? No, they don't. They make it their own. And I think that's what's really important for each of us as we use AI.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Lisa, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I only think it's an issue if you're pretending that you're not using it when you are. So I just think full transparency is appreciated. And maybe to build on what Dion shared, for some people who recognize the benefits of using AI, they're going to probably even be more excited the fact that you're using this very powerful tool in your work, that this is making your work that much more richer and broader and expansive, your work that might be, the output that you're producing for your clients or your customers. So I think it can actually be a value add.
Awesome. And Vaughn, let's get a take from you on that.
Yeah, and if we're not already to this place, I think we will be soon, where it'll be an expectation. I mean, of course, everybody's using AI, right? But the important part is that we don't try to pass it off like we're not. And Carrie, I love that you said, hey, things have to come through the human element, and it has to be reviewed before it goes out. So obviously, we should not be trying to pass off something that we didn't work on and to act as if it has been. All of us have talked about using it as a tool, and I think that's the wise way to use it. And there will be an expectation of, like, of course, you're a smart person. You're going to use the tools that are available so you can get the best work out efficiently.
Perfect. Well, listen, guys, we have run out of time here today. So I really want to thank all of the panelists. This has been amazing. Just some really great insights today. And so everybody keep in mind that the AI Writing Summit 3.0 is brought to you by High Level. And not only will we have 2 special presentations, but we've also got a raffle there on Friday. And so Elisa is going to put up, there she goes. We've got a little QR code there for you. So click on that or scan that and get signed up for that raffle. And there's also links on each of the pages on the site. So if you missed that, then you can sign up elsewhere as well. But we'll see you there on Friday for that raffle. You can win an iPad. And also, don't forget, very important, to grab your copy of the AI Writing Summit 3.0 Gold Pass. It'll give you lifetime access to all the recordings and transcripts of the entire summit, including the keynote interviews and the panel discussions, as well as the special presentations. Plus, you'll get over $6,000 worth of courses and masterclasses and workshops, prompt engineering tutorials, and a whole bunch of other resources. And you get it all for probably less than you spend on a tank of gas for your car. And so there's a link on the page. Lisa has put the Gold Pass link in the chat box. And so be sure to grab yours. Click that link right now. Go grab it before the life gets in the way there. So, okay, this has been an awesome panel. And again, I want to thank the presenters. Again, it's really been great to hear today. And be sure to check out all of the other keynote interviews as they come available throughout the day and for the rest of the summit. And we will see you later this afternoon at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, when we'll do a deep dive into the evolving creative workflow, integrating AI tools without losing the human element. And so thanks, guys. This has been awesome. And everybody will be in touch soon.